Look, you guys know my stance on aromatase inhibitors for TRT. Generally, if you can avoid them, avoid them. Okay, I mean, it's like, why have an extra drug in your protocol? It's convoluting everything. Now you have another thing you've got to take on an every 6 or 7 or 3.5 day schedule. Yeah, some people can lower their dose down to 110 to 150 milligrams, a little bit of HCG. Estrogen falls in the physiologic sweet spot for sexual function, and there is that sweet spot for most of us on TRT. And the androgens that they have in said doses are enough to support the benefits of TRT. But for some individuals going down to those doses, the estrogen lands in the physiologic sweet spot for sexual function, but a lot of the rest of the benefits of TRT go away. In that case, you either accept your lukewarm reality of being at 125 milligrams a week and having less anabolism, less energy, less masculinity, less brain power, less productivity, non-super rigid erections. You probably could use 5-10 milligrams Cialis for sex, even though you don't really need it. Libido's kind of lukewarm, not dead, not fantastic. Or you keep your high dose of testosterone and you take an aromatase inhibitor to get estrogen in your physiologic sweet zone, learn how to keep it hovering around that sweet spot, and you have a much better time on TRT. What I want to do, and by the way, I just want to make this clear statement, this is not a blanket statement. I'm not saying everyone should do this, but there are individuals who do much better with high dose tests plus an AI. I want to explain what happens from the time you take it, how you feel in terms of energy, side effects that you didn't even realize you had, that when you take the AI and it's dosed right for you, that suddenly you feel remarkable. Erections, what happens to those? Libido coming back, sensation increasing drastically. Let's discuss what happens when AIs are used correctly. All right, look, before we start the video, Cortex Labs, which is my company's a TRT guidance and sexual dysfunction resolution company, got a range of different products aimed at helping people dial in sexual function specifically on TRT. The most popular of which lately, relative to this, is High Dose TRT Mastery. Look, if you're tired of playing with small TRT and you want to learn how to dose high doses, feel the benefits of TRT finally, and get great sexual function on the higher doses, that's what this video course is for. You can download it instantly at livecortex.com. It's actually 20% off right now, and it's yours in the description of this video. If you need to hire me for coaching on specifically fixing sexual function, erection, libido issues on TRT, there are many different packages you can do that, whether it's a single session consult or longer ongoing coaching. Most popular consults are the TRT protocol audit, 25-minute call with me, full audit of your protocol, suggestions how to fix your biggest problems. Then the actual most popular consult is the TRT sexual function enhancement consult. Listen, if the libido, the erections aren't right and you want to fix this once and for all, this is the consult to get. You can find this in the description of this video or at livecortex.com. Probably about 12 links in the description, which link directly to various courses on various esters for dialing in sexual function, playbooks for TRT, all the good stuff you can find in the description of this video. Now listen, I want to make something clear. When you're dosing testosterone, you can absolutely positively put yourself in a place of imbalanced ratios between metabolites. Look, your test converts to DHT and it converts to estradiol. Your body isn't a magician at creating the exact ratios of dihydrotestosterone and estradiol that your sex organs, your brain, your AERB receptors in the brain, androgen receptors in the brain prefer for sexual function. I mean, that's a ridiculous idea. You're going to have to modulate it in some cases. Is it best case scenario that you can take whatever test dose that you decide to take and everything just balances out the way that it's supposed to? Well, yeah, sure. We would all love that, but not everyone's like that. That's the truth. That's physiology. That's real physiology. Because if it was the case, we wouldn't see shit like this. Took the dose of my AI. It helped immensely. 41 male, 215 pounds, great shape and improving by the day. All right, so this is a guy that's probably not got a whole lot of body fat contributing to excess aromatization. He's doing 100 milligrams test twice a week, 0.25 mil HCG twice a week. Okay, so he's doing 200 milligrams a week. That's a standard TRT dose. He's splitting it up between every 3.5 day injections. Started feeling bloated, had soft boners, a little libido, fuzzy brain fog, not concentrating. I was following everyone's advice on the internet about taking AIs because it's so bad for you. Finally got some advice from someone and decided to take the dosage my doctor recommended with my shots. My symptoms cleared up overnight. I feel much better. Water weight went away. Literally overnight, I woke up with a raging boner and attacked my wife. Bottom line, AIs can help. Don't be afraid of them. Stop listening to the YouTube bros. Now, again, that's not everybody, but that's that guy's experience. Why did taking the estradiol, first of all, increase erectile quality, but otherwise make him less bloated? and feel like $1,000,000. We'll get to that in just a second. But in the right context of the right dose of TRT, the right dose of, we'll use anastrozole in this case, and the right frequency of anastrozole, these are the things that can happen on TRT. I've seen this countless times. The forums are riddled with these guys. I've done it myself, frankly. It can be a remarkably good, very healthy, non-deleterious experience. These are the things that happen when you dose an AI right. If you need one in the context of TRT dosing that is a little bit above lukewarm. All right, number one, people usually feel a lot happier. And sometimes this happens within hours. I mean, you take anastrozole and within a couple hours, yes, you have ceased some large percentage of aromatization from testosterone to estradiol. The composition of your sex hormones and thus the way they're affecting your brain is going to change acutely. The experiences that I hear when an AI is taken correctly and it all works out is people are like, wow, like I feel remarkable. And here's the tricky thing. They make comments like this whole time with elevated E2 or excessively elevated E2, I didn't realize how crappy I felt. Depressed, anxious, gloomy, like with no positive outlook on life, just thinking this is a part of life. They dose the AI and suddenly they've got a positive outlook, a surge of happiness. They're feeling confident about everything. There's obviously something going on here. Listen, anyone that's studied estradiol extensively and what it does via ERA and ERB binding to the brain, modulation of neurotransmitters, as well as if you've witnessed a menopausal woman trying to dial in on HRT, which I have personal experience with, guess what happens when they take too much estrogen? There's a female body designed for estradiol. Moodiness, depression, gloominess, suicidal ideation in some extreme cases, absolute negative outlook on life. Yeah, that's them trying to dial in their estradiol patches, taking too much estrogen, and running into psychological, psychiatric, and otherwise mental side effects. I am telling you, I have been through this before, and there's fucking nothing pretty about it. What makes you think that as men, that hormone system is predominantly not driven by estradiol, and we're largely androgens with a little bit of estradiol? What makes you think men can deal with that, or that this kind of stuff doesn't happen to men? So those are the things that happen. People end up realizing, wow, I actually felt remarkably like shit, and I didn't even recognize it. I just thought that this was how I'm supposed to feel, and this is part of life. They take the AI within hours, but certainly in the effect duration window of 3 to 7 days, they feel remarkable. Second thing that happens is erections come back full force. Look, if you're especially on high doses of testosterone and you've got the right anastrozole dose in this particular context, let's call it your dose in 200 milligrams of testosterone once every 6 days. On day 2, you dose, at day 2 of your injection, you decide to dose 0.125 milligrams of anastrozole. Right as estrogen is starting to creep up and start to peak, you stop it to some percentage. You're not blocking 100% of your aromatase enzyme function. You're blocking some of that aromatase enzyme function. You still end up with a reasonable amount of estradiol, but you are surging in DHT specifically. Not only do erections come back, like you haven't had nocturnals or morning erections or erections for sex required the use of PDE5 inhibitors, but the stuff that you thought you'd never have again, that because you're 34 or 37 or 45 or 65, you're just not supposed to get, i.e. random spontaneous erections, come back. Yeah. Welcome to a favorable range of androgens to estradiol in the male body. Listen, you have to be able to extrapolate studies like this in the appropriate TRT conditions. But estradiol in this study, among others, has been properly investigated as one of the sole contributors of venous leakage. It's when you can't sufficiently hold an erection, because estradiol levels absolutely influence venous vascular tone. I mean, we know this to be true. Now, whether it's through a vascular endothelial growth factor or it's through nitric oxide is still somewhat up in the air and a little less conclusive. Estrogenism with or without sufficient androgens can cause erectile difficulties, full-blown venous leakage. So when you slow down the production of the substrate that is inhibiting your erectile quality while supplying yourself with sufficient androgens or large amounts of specifically DHT, it's not surprising why you get spontaneous erections back when you haven't had them in the last 5 years of your experience on TRT, 10 years or more. So erections come back. I've seen this time and time again. It's enough information for me not to just hypothesize that it's happening via the lowering of estradiol. Right? The T to E ratio is a well-studied, well-published phenomenon in the scientific literature. We know it exists for a reason. Our bodies are not designed to function particularly great with hyperestrogenism. Just like females who go on HRT, if their dose of estrogen is wrong and too high, they have side effects too. So the erections come back, and they come back full force. And people finally recognize, wow, I can have the things I didn't think I could have on TRT, like spontaneous erections. Third thing that happens is libido and sensation increase. Now, this is a really interesting one, and there are a variety of potential mechanisms here. First of all, if you stop some conversion to estradiol, you're going to get more conversion to diasteron, but I don't think that's the whole story. We know estrogen does modulate dopaminergic firing in the brain. It's actually inhibitory to arcuate nucleus dopamine firing, which can lead to elevated prolactin, or at the very least, a reduction in dopamine neuron firing. Dopamine is not only implicated, but largely responsible for the function of male libido. So when you're inhibiting it to some extent, you're not going to have great libido. At the same time, with testosterone and DHT being dopaminergic in and of themselves, as well as putting the brakes on estradiol's inability to inhibit some of dopamine's firing, because dopamine pathways in the hypothalamus of the brain and the mesolimbic system increase the brain's sensitivity to sexual cues, your brain ends up then turning physical touch into a higher perceived sensation response. Yeah, that's dopamine. Dopamine is heavily involved in genital sensation. So the libido increases, the sensation increases. What are the biggest problems for men that are on TRT? Erectile issues, libido issues, sensation issues. In a lot of cases, these problems are solved by giving the person enough testosterone and superficially manufacturing their serum and tissue levels of estradiol in their physiologic sweet spot for proper sexual function. And that's just the bottom line. Is this everybody? No. Can some people dose low and estrogen falls in range and they have enough androgens? Absolutely. Should you necessarily go dose an AI based on this video? No. You should do your own research. Experiment wisely and figure out what works for you. But I can tell you this, the kind of responses that I see in a coaching capacity, the kind of responses I can report from my own personal N=1, which is largely useless, but at least it's part of the conversation, are remarkable, worth remarking over how big of a change it is in terms of positive enhancements of sexual function, mood, and well-being. Okay, you're not the postmenopausal cancerous woman that is taking 32 times more anastrozole at 7 milligrams a week, which is a milligram a day, and having bone mineral density loss. Okay, you're a man on TRT that's trying to nudge the estrogen down a little bit to get in favorable hormone ratios, which is what your body was designed to run on. Now, look, I've gone through a lot of this in various courses that we've put out on the Cortex Labs website, but the course that breaks it all down most succinctly is High Dose TRT Mastery. Listen, if you're tired of playing with medium and small TRT, you'd like to see what the other side is. Achieve libido and erections, great ones on high doses of testosterone. Practical strategies for dosing aromatase inhibitors on high doses of testosterone. Importantly, you want to have high-level anabolism, strength, and energy, but also have great sexual function. Get High Dose TRT Mastery. It's our most popular course. Listen, a lot of guys are converting to recognizing they're going to need higher levels of androgens. They feel a lot better when they do that. Managing those protocols is a little tricky. That's why I broke it down in this video course. It's 20% off. You can get it down in the description of this video. Cheers forever, man. And Geronimo. Look, if you need to hire me for coaching or a single session consult, that's all we do. I've been doing this for many years, and whatever the problem is, usually sexual function issues, we'll get it resolved. Sometimes all it takes is single session consults. The most popular ones are TRT protocol audit. Listen, if you just need advice, if you need me to audit your entire protocol, listen to exactly what it is, do a little fact finding, and give you suggestions on what to change, you can book this in under a minute at livecortex.com, and you're talking to me the next day. But for serious sexual dysfunction, specifically libido and erection issues, the most popular consult is the TRT Sexual Function Enhancement Consult. This is 45 minutes with me. Deep dive call on your response patterns, your history, an audit of everything, but importantly, protocol generation on an online command center for you with adjustment routes to fix libido and erection issues on TRT. You can book this in under a minute at livecortex.com. Again, you and me are on the call as soon as tomorrow. We have a source list, which is pretty self-explanatory. We've got a bunch of other courses on mastering sexual function on TRT that you can check out at livecortex.com or down the description of this video. If you guys didn't see, I did a response video to Dr. Keith Nichols and Dr. Andrew Winge, otherwise known as Man Medicine, where they disparaged some YouTubers talking about TRT. And I did a full response video to it. I would urge you guys to watch it, especially if you watched theirs. I think you should watch both versions. You should watch what they've got to say about it, and you should watch what I've got to say about it. All right, so please go check that out. Like the video. Makes a huge difference. Honestly, brother, I'll give you the clap. Well, I mean, no, not the clap. I'll clap for you if you like the video. Fucking forget it. Sub to the channel. I'd love to have you on board, please. We're a fast-growing YouTube channel, and I'd love to have you part of our subscriber base. Kick ass, rock on. Enjoy the rest of your day, brother. More content coming tomorrow, and I'll see you then.